Hi, welcome to Golden Acres. I'm Kim. Today I'm going to talk about how I plan for my garden. So planning takes a lot of work, and prepping for that is a whole ordeal in its own. So in this section of our video, I'll do a couple different steps that I'm doing in here. I'm going to talk about how I plan for timing. So when we're going to plant, kind of where we might put notes on this for where we're going to plant. But right now I just have it when. This is one of the big calendars that we keep up for teachers. Business people use them sometimes to schedule things and keep a big calendar on their desk. I think most of us recognize this from school when your teacher would use them. So it's pretty dirty because it's been sitting out, and my kids, I don't know what got on here, but it's like marker my kids drew in this corner because it sits out so I can see it. So of course, January, actually I don't have anything written down. We didn't have any appointments or nothing in January. So I started out by flipping to our last frost date, the first day we don't have to be worried about it, which is May for us. And it's pretty light, but there is green around this week and all the way to the 10th. So we are clear right after Mother's Day to start planting usually. Of course, you can get a late frost, which is an issue. So we start there, and then certain things, like anything that we will transplant or plant after the frost, I give a general kind of goal for myself. It doesn't have to happen on these days, but having it written down helps. So transplant sunflowers, transplant zucchini. The next week I have quite a few on here. Our beans, okra, butternut squash, plant pie pumpkins, and this says transplant Jack B. Little pumpkins. Those are for the boys. They want them early. We're going to indulge them. So then when I flip back, now this one, I didn't circle our date down here, but I did on other pages, and I'll show you that in a second. But then, right here I have start sunflowers. This is my second round of broccoli. So it has second round, transplant onions, plant beets. And so here's the indoor starts of the Jack B. Little, indoor starts of the zucchini, plant peas and plant broccoli. Let's do one more. And then this is March. So I have our last frost date circled down here. So that helps me when I count back to know that this is 6 weeks before the last frost, which is written in green. So then, plant wheat, plant spinach, plant earth bed radishes. I'm going to try a small bucket of greenhouse radishes. We have the 18-day, which of course is only 18-day in perfect conditions. Indoor broccoli starts, tomato starts, greenhouse radish, plant or transplant cauliflower, which I accidentally wrote on a Sunday. I've been trying to do everything during the week because Sundays probably aren't going to happen. It's kind of family time and, church day. So we go to church in the morning and then we spend the afternoon together. We might transplant cauliflower together, but probably not. So then we have some things in February. This is my first year with my garden by myself. It's probably a little early to do some things, but between working indoors and working in a greenhouse, and it seems like it's going to be warm. I'm kind of guessing, but it's been 55 degrees this week in January, so I'm gonna risk it. So this is indoor starts of cauliflower and spinach, and then start onions. And this says plus or minus 2 weeks. So that is a reminder for me that if it happens to be cold, it's fine. And you have to kind of do that. Like, give yourself permission that it doesn't have to be done and it doesn't have to be perfect. And if it fails, well, you learn something, or you took the risk, because every year is different. It's not necessarily that you messed up. It's just that, well, it looked like it was going to be warm and it was a false spring. It looked like it was going to be cold and then it got to 70 suddenly. Like, that happens, and that's stuff that we can't control. Those aren't mistakes. You learn something from them, sure, that how you can protect or prevent freezing, but that's not your fault if it's late. It's also not your fault if you choose to take the risk knowing it's a risk, because it's not a mistake when you're taking the risk. It's a chance. It's a hope. So knowing the difference between failure, mistake, risk is a pretty big deal, especially with gardening. And then down here, I have several things like, so 6 weeks, and then 12, 10 weeks circled here for those things that suggest that early before your first frost. So I keep my circles. That way I can count where I'm at and when I can plant and keep myself organized. So this has been pretty handy, and I do add other things to it. I put my doctor's appointments on there. That way I know that I should avoid that day or planning on that day. Put the kids' doctor's appointments. I put Andrew's doctor's appointments. It doesn't necessarily usually affect us, but because his doctor's appointments involved an endocrinologist, we live out in the boonies. He drives an hour and a half. From work, it's almost 2 hours. So that changes our day. It doesn't affect us a whole lot, but I do have to go do preschool pickup because we do afternoon preschool with our oldest. So this is how I keep myself organized. Currently, we don't have a desk. We got rid of our big desk and we're going to a little one. This sits on our kitchen table right now because it's out in the open. Eventually, it will go on the desk when we get the new desk, but that's just going to take some time. Other things that we are doing to prep for seeds. I cleaned out the greenhouse pots because I had broccoli in there, and it was a warm fall, so they just bolted really early. They never flowered, or I got one teeny tiny little broccoli floret. So I cleaned those out. That'll be on the next video. I'm also going to be testing out my seed mats, which I actually got for Christmas. So my mom got me seed mats for Christmas, so for seed starting. And of course, that's a warm mat that you set your seed tray on to help germination. It helps keep the soil warm. So I need to plug those in, see if they work, and if they don't work, then I need to get on to the website she bought them from, and of course reorder and get those coming. I don't think there's going to be a problem because they are brand new. It's not like I've been sitting. And then I need to get my lights. I need to plug my lights in, which we got with the greenhouse because they tried to grow all year in that greenhouse. It's really a seed starting greenhouse. Also, you could dry herbs and things in there in the summer. So I need to go plug those in. I'm not going to show that because it's just plugging them in and see if they work. A light turns on. Yay! Or the seed mat gets warm, which you can't see. You have to feel that. So that's the things that I'm prepping right now. And then we'll have several videos coming up. We're going to have a video on this stove. We're going to finish the pipe work. It'll be about the winter storm too, because we're hoping to get this in before the winter storm that comes through. And then we have about the leaf mold, how it's coming along, and cleaning up the greenhouse. And then we'll have a next section of actually kind of getting organized. So I'm not organized to start my seed yet. I need a shelf down in the basement to do indoor seed starts, and I'm going to do a video on that coming up. So quite a bit. We have shelves, and I was going to put them up, and that was going to be a part of this video. I've been kind of putting this filming off. And once again, the shelf, they use the shelf part in the greenhouse to raise the plants up to the lights, even though the lights are on a chain that lowers itself. It was kind of weird. So we took that and we were going to put that in our basement. For seed starting, I can't figure out how it works. The post that is supposed to hold the shelves up and space the shelves out is too small. So I don't know if they never put it together because they bought those shelves for an intended purpose, or if I'm doing something incredibly wrong and I'm just blind and don't know how to do it. So I need to do more looking into that, or go get a new shelf, or have Andrew build me a shelf. I liked the idea of a plastic shelf because they're going to have water on it, and so it won't ruin the wood. Because if we build the shelf, it'll probably be out of old wood from on the property. So we'll see how that works out. Right now I have it downstairs in pieces. Honestly, my Christmas tree is sitting on one of the shelves, so I didn't have to take it all apart. So that's coming up, and we're going to figure that out. But I'll show you how I get organized down there. I will show you the lights turned on down there when I get that all set up. So thank you for being with us. I know this is a quick how I do this video in my own personal way. You're going to have your own way of doing it, and you should find your own way of doing it. If you like mine, go for it, try it. You might color coord a little bit more, you might draw on it a little more, and you might have notes on it. In the fall, which I don't have that paper anymore, on this note section I did make notes when certain plants would freeze or become susceptible to the frost. So that was really helpful because, you know, my cilantro was first in line. And I was like, all right, if I want cilantro, I have to get it before so-and-so degree. If I want broccoli, I can wait. If I want carrots, I can wait. For my spinach, I knew when the frost would take it. It was just really, really helpful to have those notes. It was not something I had to have memorized. It is something I probably will have memorized eventually, but it's not something I needed to memorize immediately. So that's how I use my notes section. And of course you can make notes in days that you're not using. You can make notes on the edge and do whatever you need to do to keep those organized and together. Because I know sometimes people have different organizations. Having it away from your day might mess you up. So make it your own. Go and figure out what works for you. For you might be a journal. It might be a dry erase calendar. It might be that you kind of keep it in your head. I know that works for some people. My dad is like that. He doesn't write everything down for the farm. This method is one I will stick with for a long time, but it probably will still change. So make something your own, and I have rambled much too much for you guys. So thank you for being with us and listening to me ramble about how I'm getting organized, especially as a first-time gardener as an adult, even though I gardened as a kid. This is my first year with my own garden, first year with a garden at this house. So if you like what we're doing, hit that like button. If you want to follow along, subscribe. And if you want to help us out, the best thing you can do right now is just share us on your social media and share us with people who you think would like to see what we're doing. Thanks for being with us. God bless.